Disclaimer. The content of this podcast is not intended to be a substitute for professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Users should not disregard or delay in obtaining medical advice for any medical condition they may have, and should seek the assistance of their healthcare professionals for any such conditions. And now...
Yeah, we don't want to do anything to scare your children. That's the last thing we want to do. We don't want to scare anybody.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Ben and Amy on The Heavy Truth.
Welcome back to another episode of The Heavy Truth.
Hi, welcome in.
I'm Amy.
And I'm Ben.
Your wonderful hosts, co-hosts.
Yes.
We're just amazing.
Just amazing.
We want to talk to you today about, what are we talking about today, Ben?
We are talking about common myths about obesity.
Oh, wow.
That's all out in the world. I mean,
Well, there's a lot.
there's a lot.
Absolutely. Because we know that because people do not, many of them don't accept obesity as a chronic disease.
Right. They do not recognize obesity as a chronic disease. I'm just gonna. What do you think? What did you growing up and having had some weight issues in your life? What was one myth as a gal of your age?
My current age or my age then?
Well, right. Okay, how have you been overweight your entire life? Let me ask you that. Till now.
I feel as though
Yeah.
I was.
Okay. So in your teens, what was a common myth then that you can think of? What is something that would run through your head?
That I could just stop eating and I'd lose weight.
No, that's still common, right? Isn't that what we see in today, even in today's world, right? Eat less, lose weight. Skip meals, lose weight, right? I mean, I think a big thing back in the day when we were young girls, there was always that myth, right? That it was a diet. Everything was always a diet. Whether it be low fat, no fat, 2 shakes and a sensible meal. All of those are little myths growing up, right?
Yeah, right. So, you go on some sort of a quote unquote plan and, whether it, like you said, 2 shakes and a sensible meal, what was that? Like Atkins or something?
Slim Fast.
Slim Fast. Oh, that's right. Slim Fast. And then, Weight Watchers and yeah. So,
0 point foods.
0 point foods. What about, what was that medication that you could take over the counter? The
Dexatrim.
Yeah, Dexatrim. Yes, I did that.
Yeah.
And yeah, exercise. I mean, I do that for a while, and then you just fall off.
Right.
But I remember looking back. The weight that I can remember that I was, and I don't know when, maybe 15, 16, I was probably maybe 160 pounds, let's just say it was around that.
4'2".
No, my height, I always was okay with height, which is helpful because you're right. If I was shorter, I would have looked a lot heavier. And I was very proportionate. I didn't gain weight in one area. I had weight everywhere, which is
So
good.
not like a bobblehead or something like that.
Right. Or like apple shaped or, it was all over, which is good and bad, honestly.
Yeah.
But, then as time goes on, fast forward 15, 20 years, I look back to that weight and I thought I was heavy then. I wish I was that weight, 5 years ago, like when I was heavier and I'm like, oh yeah, I thought I was really heavy then. And it was a constant, I'm just going to eat less and all right, breakfast and lunch are going to be good. And then I'm going to just, eat a decent meal. And again, you could do it for so long, but then you just can't do it anymore. So many, many years of yo-yo dieting, restricting, starving yourself, than saying, you know what, screw it. I'm just going to, go to McDonald's and I'm going to have a Big Mac, because you were just done because you were doing so good and then you weren't losing any weight.
Right.
So it's not about calories in, calories out, especially after you continually yo-yo diet, as we call it.
Yeah, for sure. And like you said, the biggest thing is that obesity, one of the biggest myths is that obesity is not a disease, right? Culturally, people believe that obesity is just a poor lifestyle choice, right?
Yep.
Oh, you eat too much. You don't have any physical activity. If you only ate less, if you ate more salads, if you exercised more, I think that's one of the biggest myths about misinformation about what obesity is. Right? It's that nutrition and how it affects the perception of obesity. Right? Like you just said, calories in, calories out, calories in, calories out. It's more about a more of a balanced diet, right? And a lifestyle change.
It is, for sure. And again, the more times that you have dieted, as we call it, it takes you longer and it's harder to lose weight because your metabolism tanks. So, and your hunger goes up. So it is true. People say, I am not eating a lot and yet I'm so hungry all the time. And, but it wasn't like this 15 years ago when I tried this the last time or whatever, or when I tried it in my 20s or 30s.
What about the myth of all calories are equal?
That's also fake. And I think you're very similar to me in regards to dietary suggestions. I always tell my patients that I am not a dietitian. And, but you
play one on TV.
But with our certification, we have a lot of nutrition that comes with it, right?
Yeah.
So we do know a lot about nutrition and we do know that all calories are not the same. And again, my dietitian friends and anyone who's listening that's dietitian, don't kill me, but I do say that, I focus on carbohydrates and I do not do Atkins or keto by any means or anything, but I do work on a lower carb intake.
Right. And higher protein.
Right? So I say, my patients they get a certain amount of carbohydrates for their intake. No more than 35 to 40% of their intake should come from carbs.
Yep, same.
So, but I say, when it comes to what we're doing currently in this program, a carb is a carb. I want you to count them as if they're kind of equal.
Total carbs, not net carbs. That's what I tell all of my patients.
Yes. Yep. But when my dietitian friends hear that, they say, all carbs are not equal, Amy. Why are you saying that? And I'm like, listen, they're counting carbs. And if they want to have a cookie, they can have a cookie. But they still have to count them.
Yeah.
Nutritionally, no, they're completely different.
Yes.
But, so
and I say the
cringe.
same thing. I say the same thing to the people, to some of my patients. But then I also stress to them, if you're a person that eats a lot of veggies, a lot of salads and fruits, carbs can be a bit high and they're a little less concerning to me than when I'm looking through and it's all bread based, all starch based, things like that. But yeah,
for sure. But at the same time, I will have vegetarians come in or vegans come in, and although what they're eating looks very healthy, truly it is, but they are consuming
way too much.
50 to 60% of their intake is coming from carbs. Although it's a healthy carb,
right,
it's still too much for their body.
Good moderation of the carb. Correct.
Yep, for sure.
Yeah, 100%. I agree with you there. What do you think about BMI? People always come in and they say, well, what should my BMI be? What should my BMI be? What should my BMI be? What are your thoughts?
So my thoughts on BMI, I hate BMI.
It's outdated for sure.
Yeah, and it's truly just a numeric value, and it doesn't take into account any of their body composition. So
did you know, and this fun fact, so the BMI was first developed, BMI, for those of you, body mass index, was first developed in the 1940s by the U.S. government to help them determine how many calories were needed to feed a person in the Army during World War II. And it was based off of males ages 18 to 24.
Yes. Mike
And
says
we're
it.
still using it today.
We still are. Yeah, still using it today. And I tell my patients that all the time.
So I do not, when people say that, well, I want to lose, my goal weight is, 30 pounds or whatever, 40 pounds, but that still won't put me in like the right BMI. And I say to them, listen, I don't care about BMI.
Yeah.
So I want you to get healthier. I want to see your labs improve. I want to see you have, maybe a 10% loss of your total body percentage. And I want you to make healthier changes and just do lifestyle changes, right? But again, a lot of things is still based on BMI.
Yes.
A lot. Insurance,
Insurance. If
medications.
You can have medications. If you can qualify for a surgery of some sort, they want it to be a certain BMI, and their thing behind it is better outcomes. Yes, but realistically, that better outcome is obviously you're losing weight, making these changes, increasing the protein. Outcome of surgery will probably be better. Yes, I agree. But
Yeah.
I personally, having that as a qualifying factor, that to me, like I said,
No, I think it should be more percent body fat.
Yeah.
Like, because I look at that on our body composition, because we have a machine that we use for patients, and I want to see total body fat going down. There's people that come into me that are very muscular and they have a good lean skeletal mass, but their BMI is still like they are categorized as overweight. There's no way they're overweight. It's just because it's based off of height and weight. Their muscles are heavy, so I think like that should really change. We talk about things needing to change. BMI is one of them for sure.
for sure. What are some of the myths you've heard, Amy?
What about when you say slowly losing weight is better than losing it quickly? Quick weight, you're going to lose it back. If you lose it quickly, you're going to gain it back quickly. What's your thoughts on that?
I believe that slower weight loss is better than a quick weight loss, but it's more because for me about any muscle mass that you may be losing. I don't believe that if you lose it fast, you'll gain it back fast. That's my own belief. But I do think that a slower weight loss helps with skin elasticity, and it helps with the relief of joint placements, because you can have a rapid weight loss and your joints hurt and your back hurts just as much of the fact as when you were overweight. I noticed after bariatric surgery, right, I had dropped probably 50 or 60 pounds at that point, and my back was starting to bother me. And my husband said something to me, and I said, it's fine. In a couple of days, it evens out. And he said, what do you mean? And I said, I can tell that I've just dropped more weight. My body's not used to it. And so it was a rapid weight loss. But I mean, I continued to go to the gym and work on strength training and things like that. So after that first year, which is, in bariatric surgery, when we have our most rapid weight loss, then the weight loss started to slow down, and then I stopped having those issues. So I think a slower weight loss is a more preferred weight loss. I mean, it's not a preferred weight loss for people that are overweight and want to lose weight, but I think it's a healthier weight loss.
And I think it's more sustainable.
More sustainable, correct.
For sure. Because if you are losing weight quickly, again, it could be that you're just being very strict for that time frame.
Right.
I want you to build healthy habits so that it is sustainable and it becomes more habitual than just, temporary.
Right.
So I think that is factual.
But we're also a society that wants results overnight.
Absolutely.
And I tell people that all the time. Weight gain is quick. Weight loss is slow. And a half pound to 2 pounds a week is a healthy weight loss, depending on the individual and what the amount of weight that they need to lose. And I remind my patients of that as well, right?
Absolutely. Yep, I think so too.
What about the myth that, and I'm sure you've heard this, oh, you're overweight, you're lazy. Oh, you're obese, you're lazy.
Again, that's false. That comes from old school propaganda. It comes from people who are not informed as far as the disease of obesity. And yes, there is a small component or a decent sized component to people who struggle with weight does it have to do with what they're consuming? Absolutely. There's always room for improvement. Okay. But even individuals that, I know those, and I'm sure you have them too, that they're being 100% honest, or at least 90% honest, and they're just not getting anywhere, And then I know the ones that are, trying to pull one over on me. Like, I just know that. But you definitely have to understand that whole concept of it's a metabolic dysfunction.
Yeah.
And it takes more than just
Excess calories. It's
Absolutely.
more than just about excess calories or not exercising or being active.
So I have an example of somebody. So I have an individual who, I think BMI close to 75. Okay. So, maybe in the upwards of over 500 pounds, and has been really trying to have success and could not do anything. I was able to get one of the GLP injectables covered for this individual under Medicare, believe it or not.
Okay.
And he was working with me for a couple months prior to medications and was showing me everything that he was eating. Maybe a pound in a month, maybe. And now, since on the GLP-1 medication, is down about 25 or 30 pounds since starting that medication. So again, not changing anything that he was eating. It just, the medication is helping.
Changing what he was eating with you, because he was already watching calories, carbs, and proteins with you. You had already put him on a calorie restriction.
Yeah, but he was already working on that journey by himself,
Oh, good.
And so he was doing a decent job, but it wasn't until we added that medication that, he stopped maybe storing fat,
Right.
And he started losing it, and he's not able really to exercise too much. So again, we know 70 to 80% of weight loss is based off of what you put in your mouth, and he wasn't eating a lot. Right. So there is something to be said about someone can, they don't necessarily have to eat a ton, especially when you get to a certain point.
Yeah.
You just can't lose it.
Right.
So, if you see people walking around that, and there's a lot of Judge Judys out there, like there is, and you see them walking around and you're like, oh man, like maybe, what do you have, like Whoppers every day, or, and it's not always the case.
Right.
Is it sometimes? Sure. But I mean, it's not always that way.
Right. I think that's because TV has trained us to think that way
Well,
with all
yeah.
of those shows,
Yeah.
600-pound life, blah, 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 all of those, right? The people are binge eating, laying in bed, eating, 80 chicken nuggets and all of that. So people believe that that
everyone's doing that.
everyone's doing that, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And then there's, what about your myth about just eating one meal a day? What do you think about that? Do you think you'll lose weight more quickly that way?
No, I don't think you lose weight more quickly. I mean, sometimes people will think that that's how it goes, right? Oh, I've been fasting. I only eat one meal a day. And you begin losing a little bit of weight, and then you plateau, and then you start to gain weight because your body starts to store it because you're in a starvation mode, right? So no, I think that one meal a day is a ridiculous concept. That's not successful for weight loss. I give this analogy when I have patients or people that I talk to that say, well, you know what? I don't eat breakfast. I don't eat lunch, but I really eat a good dinner and blah, blah, blah. I was like, that's great. Why no breakfast? Oh, I intermittent fast until 2:30 and 3 o'clock, and then I have a small snack, and then I go home and I have dinner. I said, what time do you go to bed? Oh, okay, maybe 10:30 or 11. I said, then you sleep. I said, well, while you're asleep, you're already fasting at that point, right? So now you're going to get up and fast another 12 hours. I was like, unless this is for religious reasons, which, I have patients that have to do it for religious reasons, and that I completely respect and understand. But I always tell them, your tank is running on empty. It's like me bringing a car to your house and saying, Amy, here's a new car for you. It'll run on fumes. We all know the car will run on fumes. I mean, as teenagers and stuff, girl, you put $3 in the tank because you try to get downtown or wherever to meet your friends, and you're hoping and praying that you go downhill so the car keeps rolling.
Right.
But the car runs better if you have gas and oil and all of that. And once most of my patients, when they start eating consistently, the weight loss starts to happen.
Yeah. I mean, they may have and I always say that
There'll
too.
be a small weight gain.
Yes.
It's almost like that refeeding syndrome.
Yep.
And it's where you're eating and your body's like, oh my God, what the hell's going on?
Yeah, so I'm going to hold on to it.
I'm going to hold on to it.
Yeah.
So it stores a little bit, but then you push over that plateau. And I can speak from experience, being a bariatric patient, I plateaued. And yes, while I was a weight loss provider, I was not listening to that person on my shoulder. I was listening to the person that had bariatric surgery who was once 425 pounds. How am I plateauing at 280? And I pulled everything back to 1,000 calories a day. And I made sure I went to the gym, calories in, calories out. And then I saw my bariatrics provider, and she said, I printed her the report from the tracker that we were using, and she was like, you are starving yourself. And in my mind, I was like, yeah. The weight loss provider side of myself knew, but the bariatric patient that had been overweight my entire life was like, no, girl, you don't know what you're talking about. So she made a challenge. She's like, 3 meals a day, this many calories, this many carbs, blah, blah, blah. And if anybody knows me, they know that if you give me a challenge, I want to prove you wrong. So I was like, game on, bitch. And I came back 6 weeks later and saw her, and I had lost 11 pounds because I was now eating consistently within the calorie range that I should be for the amount of exercise that I was doing. And then that, along with one of the GLP-1s, helped me get where I was going and where I am today. And now I'm happy to say that I work with a very mindful weight loss provider who continues to help me along this journey to keep me where I'm at.
Do they hold you accountable?
Yeah, but then she also gives me M&Ms.
Moderation.
Moderation, yeah.
Moderation,
Thanks.
because
Thank you, Mrs. Moderation.
You cannot take things out of your diet because
No.
otherwise then you're going to derail.
Yeah,
right?
I'll choke a bitch out.
Yeah, absolutely. But, it really, it's, like you said, you can't eat one meal a day because then people, if they're eating their largest meal in the evening, then maybe they're, go to bed a couple hours later. And what are you doing? You have no time to work that off even at all. So there's been times that I've seen people and 15 to 2,000 calories has been consumed from 6 p.m. to 8 or 9 p.m. That's not okay. And they have no idea why they're not losing weight or they're gaining weight.
Right.
So again, education,
Yeah,
and
that's a big
hence
thing.
why I am such a stickler on making sure that people are showing me what they're eating, and I know I get a little pushback sometimes or like a roll of the eyes from different specialties or whatever, like, oh, Amy, she's real hardcore with that tracker. That's not always the best thing to do. You know what? It's worked out very well because
It's accountability.
yeah. And my patients have done amazing. So you do you, I'll do me.
Excuse me.
And
That's exactly it. You find what works for you for your accountability factor.
Yeah.
But eating wise, I say the same thing. 3 meals a day. People say, oh, I can't eat. I'm so busy. I'm doing this. There's things you can figure out. There are grab and go protein forward snacks, string cheese, things like that. You don't have to, when I say meal, I'm not saying you're going to sit down and have
Absolutely.
eggs and pancakes and toast and bacon. Can you? Absolutely.
you're going to have Greek yogurt and some blueberries.
Yeah, if that's what you need.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. That's what you have time for. A protein shake. While I don't want it in place of a meal, I'd rather have something than nothing.
Yeah.
But I also don't expect it to happen overnight, right? If you come to me and say you're eating 1 meal a day today, I don't expect 3 meals a day tomorrow. I think that we're going to work up to it. Right?
Absolutely. Yeah. I'm a big proponent of having, 5 to 6 smaller meals a day.
Now, here's something I ask you about. When I've said that, people say, well, dietitians have said that that's grazing and I don't want to graze.
Okay. Well, my response to that is
I'm not a dietitian, bitch. Oh, sorry, not that, right?
My response to that is that's not necessarily grazing, but you can have 6 smaller meals. And again, that could be, some breakfast, a mid-afternoon or a mid-morning snack, and then you have your lunch, and then you can have a snack between lunch and dinner, and then you can have your dinner, right? But, one of our amazing dietitians that I work with, her comment is you need to put a bookmark, bookend it. So you're not like constantly all day long grazing. If you're going to have breakfast at 7 a.m., great. 7:30, you're done. So let's say at 10 o'clock, maybe you're going to have, a string cheese and a few Triscuits. Perfect. Be done with it. And then go to lunch. But you're right, because very easily you could kind of be grazing all day long. But again,
there's a beginning and an end to the meal.
Absolutely.
It doesn't just last from breakfast through lunch through dinner.
Yeah. And my patients, your patients, they're in a weight management program. So if you've seen a dietitian in the past, again, they know a lot more than I do, but I'm very specific as to what I want my patients to be eating. So this is what we're doing. And, if I feel as though I can't help patients anymore, they're picky eaters, or I just can't get them to change things, or, hey, I need, could you please give me a, 1 month meal plan? Like, tell me what I should eat for a month. Well, I know our dietitians don't like that because they really do want patients to start, trying to think for themselves, to be making more mindful choices. And I always say you don't need to be a master chef to eat better at all. So
I know I've had your cooking, Amy. You don't need to be a master chef.
You know what? You can just go and not come back and have food anymore.
Oh.
How about that?
Thank you.
Leave.
Welcome in. What about what about people who believe it's okay to skip a meal and I'll just drink water because that'll help me lose weight?
Well, again, we're skipping meals, right? So, no, that's not accurate. And
well, water helps in weight loss, right? Because we want to stay well hydrated and things like that. It's not in place of a meal.
No, but you should be drinking all day long,
right?
So
correct.
we should be drinking all day long, because that's another thing that I've seen, that if patients are not drinking enough water, they don't lose. People who drink enough water can lose more weight. And I have seen that for sure. So patients, if you're not well hydrated, you definitely can have weight stalls. So once intake of water increases, I see that shift and people will lose weight. What about, do you see the same thing?
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I even see it myself. Like if I'm dehydrated, it's weird. Like I'll hold on to that water, but if I get enough water in, then I'm like, oh, wow, I just lost like a pound or 2. Mm-hmm. Like it's crazy, because you need water to get rid of water.
Yeah. Helps you poop too.
Well, yes. And that's always an issue. That could be a whole nother episode, right?
Amy's pooping issue.
Not just my
I thought you meant
issue.
just with you. Okay.
Everybody's.
My bad.
Everyone has issues with that. But
I don't.
Yeah, well, yeah, it's the burrito.
So you can't say everyone. You knew in nursing, there's not an always and an ever.
Just sign me up for a sausage burrito.
Okay. Mike, she needs a sausage burrito tomorrow on the way to work, please.
I'll grab her one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good. There you go. See, I helped you.
There's a big difference between guys' bowel habits and girls' bowel habits. They're different.
Is there?
Yeah.
Let's Google that. Is that a myth, Amy?
No, it's not. It's accurate. So therefore, you have to
Everybody
make sure you
poops,
have
Amy.
enough fiber,
Everybody poops.
water, exercise. Everybody poops.
We'll talk about pooping on a different episode.
Farts.
Just our pooping
Nobody
episode.
wants to talk about gas either.
You know any GI people we can have on?
I do know a GI provider who can come on and help us talk about bowel habits and the
Pooping and
likes.
farting?
Pooping and farting.
I love that. Yeah, no, that would be great.
What about this? Have you heard about this from patients? And I've had someone say this to me, that obesity doesn't impact their health. They had no comorbidities listed. And the person literally said, I'm healthy fat.
I get that a lot as well.
Okay.
And I think that I see that. And I could see that clinically, lab work wise, blood pressure, sleeping, there's really been no impact. Okay.
Yet.
That we see or that has been impacting their life. Is it happening? Do I see trends in lab work? Yes. I look at trends. Someone could have normal lab work, but I can see that, oh, well, last year their cholesterol was this, and this year it's this, or same with sugar or fasting insulin. And even though they're still all normal, it's trending.
Creeping up.
It's creeping up. And it's still something that nobody besides a specialist that looks at those things would say, well, I see that this is going this way because they're still normal,
Right.
And but I call them out all the time. I'm like, your blood sugar was this on last year, and now it's 95.
Yeah.
Although it's still normal, it's creeping up. And
I'm sure there's all those, what they call fat activists on social media who are going to be naysayers of what we said because they are what my patient said, healthy fat. But actually, you know what? Like you said, it may not be shown yet, but obesity, increases the risk. Like you said, diabetes, hypertension, cardiovascular disease, osteoarthritis, sleep apnea, mental health.
I was going to say anxiety, depression.
Yeah. And, even a modest weight loss can promote health benefits. So according to the CDC, Center for Disease Control, weight loss of 5 to 10% of your total body weight is likely to produce health benefits.
Absolutely.
Yes, and it'll improve blood pressure, cholesterol, blood sugars. So while you may be, and I do quotes, healthy fat, it just means you haven't gone where it's going to be a problem, and now losing weight keeps you from heading in that direction, right? Just because at 425 pounds, while diabetes ran on both sides of my family, I was not a diabetic, doesn't mean that if I continue to 420, 450, blah, 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 that I wouldn't have become a type 2 diabetic, right? Type 2
And
meaning
you
it was
might have been-
adult onset.
You might have been in an insulin-resistant state
Right.
for many, many years, and no one ever said anything to you about it. Like, well, we better watch this. So, because again, they're not looking at that,
Yeah.
But, 5% body loss will give you, health benefits. And at 10%, we see that we have a reversal of some of those obesity-related comorbidities. So that's my first goal for patients, is to lose 10% of their presenting body weight. So if you're 200 pounds, you lose 20 pounds, it's a win. We start small and just keep going if that's their goal, because it is their goal ultimately, right?
Absolutely. So we put out a lot of myths. So I'm going to tell you a fact. According to the World Health Organization and Obesity Medicine Association, obesity can lead to increased risk of diabetes type 2, heart disease. It can affect bone health, reproductive health. It increases the risks of certain cancer, and it influences the quality of living, such as sleep and moving, meaning like activities of daily living and things like that. Those are facts. Those are absolute facts. So yes, you may be healthy fat, but that's today, right?
No, absolutely. It is. Again, we can't preach it enough, right? All the benefits of, and again, starting.
And by the way, I want to point out that neither of us are pointing the fingers, right? Because both of us have been overweight. I've been morbidly obese, and even at my current BMI and all the weight loss I've lost from 425 to 215, I'm still classified as obese now, right? So I understand that. I understand all of that, healthy fat, blah, blah, blah. I've never been healthy fat because I have hypertension, I have sleep apnea, but I can tell you that all of that has improved, right? My quality of living has improved, and it all has improved. So I'm not preaching to the choir. I'm stating facts. And maybe they're my facts, but I can tell you, what did we say? by 2030, 50, ladies and gentlemen, 50% of the United States population will be classified as obese. That's a
Overweight or obese,
Overweight
right?
or obese, right? That
Yep.
is a BMI of 20, was it 27, right? 27 or greater.
26.
Is it 26? Well, 25 is overweight. Yeah, yes. 20, right above 25.
If you are
29.1.
25 or if you're 24.9 or under,
Then you're normal weight.
abnormal
According to
weight.
the BMI, right? But we're
BMI.
talking, we just said we don't really care what the BMI says. But
No.
what the people who follow BMI charts say.
Yeah.
Insurance companies,
Yeah,
there you go.
right.
Yeah.
But 25 to
Overweight
30
is a BMI greater than or equal to 30, and obesity is a BMI greater to 30 or more.
30 or more, yeah. So, but that's why I said overweight or obese,
50,
50%.
50% of the population of the United States.
Right. So why aren't we talking about this more? Right?
We are, you and I.
We are.
Yeah.
But we,
know.
yeah.
Listen up, people. It's a
Yeah.
chronic disease.
It needs some intervention sometimes more than what you can do. And you have to find supports somewhere. If you're not getting it from family health, your providers, therapists,
If
whatever.
you're not getting it from your provider, I'm sorry, this is my opinion, find a different provider.
Yeah.
If your
Yeah.
provider doesn't want to listen to you about being obese, overweight, or how this affects your life, get a different provider.
Or
if
don't- they
they're
don't
telling
bring
you
it
eat,
up.
just don't eat less, blah, blah, blah. If
Eat
that's
less,
it,
move more.
Eat less, move more.
Yeah.
No, come and see a weight loss provider.
Yeah.
Something special, a specialist of some sort. So,
I agree.
yeah. Well, thank you for sharing these myths, Amy.
Yeah. I hope some of them were debunked and
Yeah, like that. You
Shed some
being,
light.
what did you say, a chef or something? Yeah, well,
Master chef?
Master chef. That was definitely debunked. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Just saying.
on that
I mean, it's
note.
like Rachel Ray, right? She never claimed to be a chef. She's been a home cook.
I'll take a cook.
Yeah, that's
I'll be
fine.
a cook.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You didn't wear a hairnet when you made that soup today, but that's fine. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, follow us
Yes.
on all social medias.
Yes. Thanks for listening. This is Amy.
This is Ben from The Heavy
Be
Truth.
Truth.
Have a happy Thanksgiving.
Bye-bye.
Bye.